Welcome. Today we're going to focus on the different types of search that are available in Content Manager. The first of which is the search query. So this can be a simple title search that you can perform here. So if I wanted to search for the term personal, for example, you can see I've got a number of records that are returned here and also containers that have the term personal in the title. So that's the first type of search that's available. The second type is using the search form. So this is a much more restricted type of search. I have created a custom search form here for a data subject access request. So if I want to search for Colin Davis, and I have a few custom properties that I can search for here as well. The first of which is national insurance number, and the second is a GDPR tag. So again, this is another custom property that's set up on the system. And if I click search, this performs the search. I have two records that are listed. If I click view, we can see here that hit highlighting has been enabled. Remember, I searched for Colin Davis, and we can clearly see where that is in the content of the document. It's been highlighted. And if I then click on the properties as well, so if I perform a search on that custom property, again, we can see the custom property has been listed here in the national insurance number. So that is the search form in this particular case using a data subject access request search form. Then we also have the third type of search, which is a much more granular type of search that you'll be using on a daily basis. That is, of course, the search editor. So if I click options, search editor, notice the build query is constructed based upon the last search that was performed. In this case, I want to build a query from scratch. So I can search through properties or custom properties if I wish here. I can also browse from A to Z via alphabetically or via category, as we can see. In this case, I know which I want to include, so I'm going to perform searches for them. In this case, I'm going to search for the GDPR custom property tag. I also want to search on the employment custom property, which specifically states how the record is relating to GDPR. And then also the national insurance number, which is another custom property in the system. I'll set that to the following. Now notice that the default operator is an AND on the system. If you want to widen your search, you could change that to an OR. In this case though, I just want to use the defaults, which are ANDs. We can also filter based upon disposition, on record class, and also file types. We can also filter based upon the record types as well. So if you wanted to specify only emails on HR documents, for example, or returned, then you could do so here. And you can also change the sort order as well. If you want to sort on a particular property or custom property, you can make those changes here. In this case though, I just want to search for the GDPR custom property and the employment custom property and the following national insurance number. And I'm going to click search. And that has again found the results. Again, that mimics the same type of search essentially that we've seen from the search form. Then we also have the save searches as well. So we can save a search and then rerun that at a later point. So if I wanted to save this search for a later time, I click save. I'll give this a sensible name. And I can also add this to favorites to add to my favorite saved searches and click save. If I then want to access the saved searches, I can click the menu option here and save searches. And if I scroll to the bottom, we can see the save search which I have just created. If I want to rerun that save search, I click the icon and then that search is rerun. So that's one type of search. However, a much more common type of search that you'll rerun on a daily basis is as follows. So if I scroll to the top, you can see I've got one created here which simply states show me today's records. So if I click the icon, that shows me records that which are registered on today. So a much more useful type of search that you'll rerun on a daily basis there. So just to recap what we've seen, there was 4 different types of search. We had the search query, which was a simple title search. We had the search form, which is a much more restricted type of search for a specific use case. In that case, it was a data subject access request looking for Colin Davis's documents. Then we also had the search editor, which is a much more granular type of search, and we can search on any of the properties or custom properties or indeed the content as well. And then of course we had lastly the save searches, which are searches we can rerun at a later point. And a useful example of that would be to use show me items which are registered on today, as we can see there. So that is everything relating to searching. Thanks again.